The Environment Secretary says British farmers could receive the same level of subsidies that they currently get from the EU for several years after Brexit. But Michael Gove also outlined how he wants to see taxpayers' money go to boosting public access to farmers' land.
We'll see is British farming embracing change. There's a wonderful opportunity outside the European Union for British food production to move to another level, but also for us to make sure that our environment is enhanced as well. And what I want to do is to move away from the current method of subsidy, which doesn't really reward efficiency, toward a method of agricultural support, which makes sure that good farmers have new markets for their products, and at the same time that the natural environment is enhanced.
Well, Michael Gove speaking a little earlier. Let's speak now to Griffin Carpenter, Senior Researcher at the New Economics Foundation. Afternoon to you, Griffin. Is Mr. Gove speaking sense?
There's definitely some positive news here. There's near universal agreement that the current system of subsidies doesn't work. Just distributing subsidies based on the area of land that you own has a perverse effect that some of the largest recipients are the most wealthy people in the country. So the system doesn't work. Now, why the system's being guaranteed until 2022 or possibly 2024 doesn't make a lot of sense, given that no one actually agrees that it's fit for purpose. But we are seeing some progress in terms of what comes after that, and this idea of public money for public goods. Now the big question is, what are public goods, and how do we better define that and create a farming system that's fit for purpose?
How much are we talking about here, Griffin? How much do these subsidies cost? What do you think Mr. Gove is guaranteed to spend over the next few years?
Sure. So it's about $2 billion a year. So we're looking at least $10 billion. So there's a lot of money at stake here. So we can kind of use this as a lever to incentivize farmers to do the right thing. And most farmers do want to do the right thing. They want to create land that's sustainable. They want to leave things better for the next generation. So we have all this funding that's guaranteed to the farming sector. Now we need to make sure that it's providing the right incentive to improve the landscape.
What about these caveats about giving access to the public to farmers' lands? I suspect not every farmer will welcome that.
No, certainly not. And this is the big question right now, is if we agree that there needs to be some public good coming out of this money, then what does that mean? And a lot of environmental measures were mentioned today by the Secretary of State, but we also need to think about other issues. So how do young people get into the industry? How about new entry from outside of farming? How do we have resilient local economies? These are things that haven't been mentioned yet, but it's all part of the same sustainable farm system that's fit for the future.
And there is a big economics bit to this as well, is that we don't generate enough food in this country to feed ourselves. And I guess what Mr. Gove wants to do also is to make sure that he protects the amount of food that we do produce.
That's true. Most of our food comes from imports, and this is not unique to the UK. Most countries are in this situation, so it's not necessarily a bad thing, and we need to be sure that we don't go back to where we were in the post-war mentality of producing as much food as possible at the expense of the landscape. So we need a system that's sustainable and producing food. There's lots of objectives that we have for agriculture, and that's what the subsidy system should be used for, to make sure that we're not only producing food, but have high animal welfare, and that we have a sustainable landscape and access so new entrants can get into the system as well.
Griffin, good to speak to you. Griffin Carpenter there.
Thank you.